Okay, well, I am Dallas Froome. This was my third year of teaching. And it was my first year in a private school, so the data use is a lot different. So we have three main assessments that we use. We take the Iowa assessments, the Kansas assessments, and then we have this test called Acadience. So with the Iowa assessment data, basically all we did was we had a meeting when the results came in, and then we discussed the results with our grade level. And then after that, we shared information at parent conferences about the test results. And after that, it was kind of up to the teachers what they wanted to do with the data. So there isn't too much use of data in our school. And we didn't even take the Kansas assessments because of COVID-19. And also I'm a second grade teacher, so I wouldn't be doing that anyways. And then the Acadience is reading and math, and so our title teacher assesses all the kids on both of those subjects. And we get results back for both. We only get their score. We don't get any specifics. And then we use the reading to place kids in title intervention. So the kids that score the lowest, they go with the title teacher 4 days a week. But other than that, the scores from those tests are just the teachers use them how they want. I used the scores to place kids in 3 different groups for like small group centers in reading, and then occasionally in math when we had time. But mostly for math, I use daily formative and observations in my class to determine where kids are at. Our school doesn't really use any demographic or process data. We do perceptions from parents and teachers, but I think it would be helpful if we use student perceptions just because our school is very traditional, and I think there are things that we can change to kind of move along with the changing times. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. I'm wondering what you think is the biggest difference in moving from public education to private education as far as utilizing data?
Well, in the public schools, it felt like we used data every day. We did a lot of reading testing with BAS and Fontes and Pinnell, and then all of our math assessments, they were common, so all the teachers in 4th grade would give the same assessment, and then we would look at the data. But we never used demographics or perceptions or any of that. We only looked at student scores. So even though we studied data all the time, we didn't connect it to anything else.
Okay. And then I guess, you talked about how you did common assessments. How many people were in your team previously and then this year?
There were 3 on my team at the public school, and now there's 2 at the private school. And we tell each other what we're planning, but the administration, they don't make us do common assessments. So.
And then the only other question I had was, what kind of formative assessments do you use in your classroom?
Observation, of course, and then there's homework pages in our math books. I don't use them for homework, but I use them in class as a short quiz, and then I hand those in, and I use those for formatives, or I might create my own or find assignments off Teachers Pay Teacher that are short and quick for the end of a lesson. But yeah, at my school, it's pretty much up to the teachers what they do. So
yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I guess the help that I want, I guess how to get the staff at my new school to start looking at data and using it effectively for improvement, because I don't see that they've ever really done that before. And then my other one is just how to use my own classroom data and assessments for improvement, since it just kind of feels like all the teachers do their own thing.
Okay. So sounds like you would like help just from your administration, maybe utilizing more data points and making things a little bit more aligned, just team to team and maybe grade to grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just some direction to follow. Let's see. So I think if you have any ideas, you're supposed to offer them.
Yeah, I think, do you guys utilize PLCs at all, professional learning communities?
Not in the private school, no. It's
Yeah.
just up to the teacher when they want to meet.
I think one suggestion I have is to really advocate for time to work collaboratively. You know, if you and your teammate had maybe a half a day sub or something like that, where you could really plan out common formative assessments and look at the data and, you know, plan something out like that. I think, you know, advocating for something like that, I have found is really, really helpful. That's kind of something I'm currently advocating for. We do have PLCs, but more time is always helpful. So time. And I think another idea might just be you know, continuing to build that relationship with your teammate. And then do you guys have an instructional coach?
No, our title teacher sort of acts like one, more in the reading area, but other than that, no.
Yeah, so maybe collaborating with them or something like that. But I think another thing too that, you know, maybe just asking your principal for some of that data to make it more easily accessible.
Yeah.
So that you can consider some of the demographics data and things like that as well, because sometimes if you don't have it easily accessible, then obviously that makes it harder to utilize it.
Yeah. So I think what was most helpful was your idea about advocating for PLCs. I'm not sure that that's anything that this school has ever done, and I think most teachers would appreciate it. And then also asking administration, we are getting a new superintendent this year, and he'll also be the principal of our school. So I think it will bring positive change. And he's younger and not so traditional, so I think he would be open to those ideas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I think that wraps up that first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how are we on time?
We're at 22, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. All right, so, all right. My name is Jacqueline Roberts, and we do utilize PLCs. So really those first two questions ask, there's like a 4-question process for PLCs. So the first two questions ask like, what will students learn? How will we know that they've learned it? And then the next 2 questions are, what do we do if they didn't learn it? And what do we do if they need extension? So I think we, as a school, are really, really good about creating the common formative assessments, especially in math and even writing. But we could be better at utilizing more of the 4 types of data. So like you said, just we could utilize more demographic data, definitely more perception data, because we have that as a district. We just don't really utilize it a whole lot. Every year students take a Make Your Voice Heard survey, and the results are posted in our district website, but we are never encouraged to really look at it and analyze it. And so I think this class has really helped me kind of look into that. So I think we just could do a better job of utilizing all 4 types of data. I think sometimes we do look at demographic data as far as like, we kind of look at our IEP kids and our GT kids, and then our general education kiddos, but and also I teach 5th grade. So in order to close the gaps, you know, I kind of looked at our school data, and we really don't have a ton of minority students, but we definitely have, we have about a quarter of our kids that are Hispanic. So that's our greatest minority population. So I was able to really look at the data, and those kids are doing well compared to like the state. However, they're not doing as well as non-minority students at our school. So we definitely have a gap to close. And so I think really looking at that data more and focusing on that more would be really, really helpful. So I did attend a PLC conference that the DeFores actually put on several years ago. That was really great. Really talked about, you know, using common formative assessments and data to drive instruction. And then last year, as I'm part of the instructional leadership team, we went to a PLC training through the district that also focused on, you know, developing a data assessment calendar and things like that. So yeah, I think that's kind of a nutshell.
So do you think that using more demographics and perception data would be helpful? Like, do you think it would be helpful in helping those Hispanic students who you said weren't scoring as high as others?
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to look at their, you know, Hispanic student perception data compared to their student learning data, and really, you know, look at maybe each individual student as well. I think that could be really, really helpful for sure.
So that is the perception data like posted for anyone to see?
It is.
Do teachers ever look at it?
I have been at my district for 9 years. I've been at 3 different schools, and we've never really looked at that data.
Yeah.
As a school, no.
So I bet like there would be some, I don't know, light bulb moments if people took a look at it, and
yeah, definitely.
I think the students would like it too.
What?
I think the students would appreciate it if their voices were heard. Yeah.
Absolutely, to know that we've actually looked at the data and like changes that we're going to make because of what they said. Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you taught other grades besides 5th?
Yeah, so I've taught 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then a 5-6 combo also.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of questions here.
You're
so
good.
What do you think is the biggest difference between like data in the higher grades that you've taught and data use in the lower grades?
Yeah, I think as part of the instructional leadership team, you know, since I haven't taught the grades that, you know, don't do CMAS or our state testing and things like that, you know, they use DIBELS a lot for fluency, and I actually have used that as well. We do, like you mentioned, BIS, we utilize that as a school. We just switched to that from DRA2s. But I think at our school, they're really, really great about saying, okay, well, in 3rd grade, they have to start testing on Chromebooks, you know, or computers. So how can we prepare them for that? So I think they just think about like typing skills and, you know, just different skills that they can help develop before they reach those really, really big testing grades. Yeah, I think hopefully that answered your question a little bit.
Well, I think those are all the questions that I had.
Okay. Something that I would really like help with is really 2 things. One, I really, really think data protocols are important because they really help people not to make judgments. Data protocols are really meant to just lay out the facts, and that's something that we decided as an instructional team we were going to use. We had a data protocol picked out, and then we never used them. So I would really just like to advocate and actually use them. And then the second thing is, again, it was really interesting. We decided as an ILT we were going to do like triad observations, and we just never did them. So I think I want help just following through with a couple of those things that we were really excited about and gung-ho about, and we decided we were going to do them, and then we never did.
Okay, so basically you're asking for help on how to actually implement the ideas that you guys have.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So do you want to use like data protocol in staff meetings or PLCs?
Yeah, I think definitely PLCs, but I think it's also really important. It would probably be most beneficial if we utilized them at a staff meeting first, so that we could really kind of grapple with it as a staff and then do it as individual teams. I think that would be really helpful.
I think you could start with, find a simple piece of data, whether it's just like one student anonymous reading assessment, and just use the protocol as practice and go through it, and maybe they'll ease into the idea and see how it's useful, and then just keep building on that and using it with more and more data. Yeah. And then you mentioned, did you say triad observations?
Yeah, basically we're in teams of 3 in our grade levels, so yeah.
So like observing your colleagues or teammates?
Yeah, so the 2 of us would observe one person teach, and then we would rotate and observe the second person teach, and then observe the third person teach.
Yeah.
All in one afternoon. And then so we meet beforehand and after to like set, what are we looking for, and then afterwards reflect on it.
We did do like teammate observations at the school, and all we did is the administration gave us our partners, and then we had to meet with them and schedule out a time when we were going to observe them. And so it was usually during our student like specials times when they weren't in our room, and we would go watch the other teacher, and then we would set up a meeting time with them to go over each other's observations. So that could be an easy start, or you could possibly schedule subs if you have subs available. But
yeah, well, I really like your idea of kind of starting small so that we can make it manageable and building on that. And I do think starting as feasible as possible by doing an observation during our planning time, observing another grade level is super important. I think that systemic observations are just as important as observing our own grade levels. So I definitely like that idea.
All right.
Cool. Is that it then?
Yeah, I think that's all.